To effectively learn our Hebrew vocabulary, it is best to learn the words through the text within context rather than to just learn and memorize the vocabulary. And today's reading actually is from the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. And the version that I have before me is what we call BHS, Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia, which has the Masoretic vocalization of the Hebrew Bible. One of the challenges of reading the Masoretic version is that it has what we call cantillation accents, which are not the vowel system, but actually reflect the cantor's mark in terms of how they should sing the song. It's basically like music notes. Once you are able to ignore these cantillation marks, you'll become much more familiar with the Masoretic text. So what I'll do is actually read the Hebrew first and then go back and translate it. Starting with verse 1. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Verse 2. V'haaretz haita tohu vavohu v'choshech al pnei tichom v'ruach Elohim mirachefet al pnei hamayim. Verse 3. Vayomer Elohim vayhi yehi or vayhi or. Now go back to verse 1 for translation. Bereshit is based upon two distinct words. First is the ba, which is usually a preposition, or what we call infinitive construct. In the traditional translation of the passage, you have in the beginning, but the problem is the definite article the is not in the text. It has been translated into the text, but it is not in the Hebrew. Based upon the word that is used, which is reshit, based upon the root rosh, which means head, this word is probably best translated as an infinitive construct, meaning ba, when, beginning, or starting, created, bara, Elohim, the word for God, et, definite direct object marker, so you do not translate it, but it directs you to the following word, hashamayim, which is based upon the word ha, which is the definite article, shamayim, heaven. So, going back, when God beginning to create the heavens, definite article marker with the vav conjunction, and the earth. So when God began to create the heavens and the earth, verse 2, v'ha'aretz, and the earth was tohu vavohu. So this should be translated as what we call a hendiadys, meaning as one word. And basically it means unformed chaos. Chaos. And darkness, v'choshek, was upon the face, pnei, the deep. And again, the vav conjunction, and the Spirit of God was hovering, okay, based upon the root rachef. This is what we call the PL participle, was hovering upon face of the water, hamayim. Verse 3, and he said, based upon Amar, Elohim, God, let there be, based upon the root haya, let there be light. And again, the vav conjunction, Yehi, and there was light. So going back to the top, let me sort of start from the very beginning. Bereshit is better understood as an infinitive construct function of the bit word. Let me erase all of this. Reshit, when beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, which then sets the second verse 2 clause as a second part of that. In other words, when God began to create the heavens and the earth, comma, verse 2, the earth was a formless void, a massive chaos. And darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering upon the waters. Verse 3, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. The importance of this passage basically says that there was something there before God began to create. And basically, what was there was tohu vavohu, which is this unformed mass, right? Chaos, darkness, upon this, what we call the deep, which is actually cognate to the word Tiamat, which is the goddess of salt water. And then there was the Spirit of God. Now, the Spirit of God could mean like the Spirit of God, or it could be a great wind. In other words, it's a powerful wind that is comparable to one created by God, and therefore it is this furious wind that was just blowing upon this chaotic waters. And out of this chaotic waters, the first thing that God calls into being is light. So therefore, the first act of creation is not creating earth and the heavens, but actually creating light.